The tale of the Golden Cockerel. Once upon a time, in a realm afar, beyond the distant shining star, there lived a king named good Tsar Dadon. In youth, his rule was harsh, a feared one, and to his neighbors, time and again, he brought bold strife and caused them pain. But in his later years, he yearned to cease the military life and find some peace. He sought but quiet ease. Alas, his neighbors soon begun to trouble the aged, weary one, inflicting him with dreadful harm. To keep his borders safe from storm, from all incursions and attacks, he had to keep great armies on the tracks. His voivodes, warlords, did not sleep, you see, yet failed to keep the borders free. They'd wait for threats from the south side, and suddenly the eastern troops would ride. They'd manage here, but wicked foes would strike from where the ocean flows. With furious sorrow, poor Dadon would weep and lose his sleep upon. What kind of life is this, with constant fright? So, for aid to ease his troubled plight, he sent a heartfelt plea for grace to a wise man of that place, a famed astronomer, a sage of lore, a eunuch whom he bowed before. He sent a courier with low obeisance. The sage arrived, and in the king's presence he took out from a pouch of leather a golden cockerel, weather vane. Upon a spire this bird you'll set, the old man told the king, and yet this golden cockerel of mine will be a trusty guard of thine. When peace holds sway on every hand, he'll sit quite still and safe on land. But should the slightest whisper start of war that threatens from any part, of armed invasion, fierce and grim, or trouble dark that calls to him, at once my cockerel will raise his comb, and in a flashing haze he'll flap his wings and fiercely call, and turn to face the threat of all. The Tsar gave thanks, his heart alight, and promised him a mountain bright of gold. For such a favor done, he cried ecstatic, I, Dadon, will grant your very first request as readily as my own best. The cockerel from the spire so high began to watch his frontiers nigh. Wherever danger might appear, the faithful warden, freed from fear, would stir himself, would shake his wings. To that side instantly he springs and cries, Cock-a-doodle-doo, reign with ease as czars should do. His neighbors thus grew tame and mild, and dared no warfare quite beguiled. Such fierce defiance King Dadon had given them on every direction. A year, a second, passed in peace. The cockerel's duty did not cease, but sat quite still. But then one day King Dadon woke to loud dismay. Our sovereign, father of the land, the voivode shouted close at hand. Your majesty, wake up, disaster near. What is the matter, sirs? What fear? Said Dadon, yawning. Who's there? What trouble brings such loud despair? The voivode cried, The cockerel's call! A frightful noise throughout the capital. The king looked out. Upon the spire he saw the cockerel, filled with fire, beat with his wings. Towards the east he turned. No time to lose. Quickly! Be concerned! Mount your steeds, my men! Away! Go faster! The Tsar sent troops east, led by his elder master, his eldest son. The cockerel settled down once more. The noise subsided, and the Tsar forgot the war. 8 days went by, no news arrived. No word of battle had survived the journey back. The Tsar got no report. Again the cockerel called, of fear the sport. The Tsar calls up a second force. He sends his younger son upon the course to bring the elder back to him, but soon the cockerel's call grew dim. Again, no news from them was heard. Another 8 days, in a fearful blur, the people spent. Again, the golden bird cried out. The Tsar called up a third great army, led by him towards the east, not knowing what good fortune would be least. The troops march on. By night and day, their strength begins to waste away. No field of battle, no encampment seen, no burial mound upon the grassy green did King Dadon encounter there. What wonder is this? he mused in deep despair. On the 8th day he reached the hills, and through the peaks where silence fills, he saw a silken bright pavilion rise. A wondrous quiet met his eyes around the tent. Within a narrow glen his ravaged army lay of slaughtered men. Tsar Dadon hastened to the tent. What dreadful sight on death intent! His 2 sons lying side by side, without their armor, shields, or pride, were both stone dead. A tragic sight, with swords plunged deep in mortal fight. Their horses wandered in the glade, upon the trampled grass, and where the blood was laid. The Tsar howled, "Oh, my children! Woe! My grief! My 2 bright falcons low! Woe! My death has surely come to me!" All wept and wailed in sympathy. The deep valleys groaned with sorrowing sound. The hearts of the high mountains shook and frowned. Then suddenly the tent wide flew, and forth a maiden came to view, the Shamakan queen, radiant, fair, all shining like the morning air. She softly greeted King Dadon. Like night bird, fleeing from the sun, the Tsar fell silent, with gaze transfixed, and utterly forgot, as her bright charms were mixed with beauty strange, the death of both his boys. And she before Dadon with charming poise just smiled, and with a bow so deep, she took his hand, his soul to keep, and led him to her inner tent. She sat him at a board, on eating spent, and gave him feasts of every kind. She laid him down, reposed to find, upon a golden, rich brocade, and then for a whole week his duty laid aside, submissive and completely charmed. Bewitched, delighted, quite disarmed, Dadon feasted in her spell. At last returning all went well, with his surviving army train, and with the young queen once again, the Tsar set off for home and hearth. Rumors ran ahead along the path, spreading truth and falsehood wide. Near the city gates, with noisy tide, the people met them, welcoming. All ran behind the chariot's wing, behind Dadon and his young queen. Dadon smiled on the joyful scene. Then suddenly within the crowd, in white Saracen cap, head bowed, his hair as white as purest swan, his old friend, the eunuch, stood upon. "Ah! Greetings, my dear father, pray." The Tsar exclaimed to him that day, "What news to tell? Come closer. What is your desire?" "Oh, there," the old man said with gentle fire. "Let us settle our account this day. Remember, for the service, by the way, you promised me as friend to friend, your very first wish to commend, to grant my will as if your own. So give to me the girl alone, the Shamakan queen in all her glory." The Tsar was utterly aghast at this strange story. "What say you?" he declared to the old man. "Has the devil cursed your lifespan? Or have you gone completely mad with age? What thought has turned this sudden page? I promised, that is true, I know, but everything has limits, slow. Why should a maiden be your care? Enough! Do you know who I am? Beware! Ask me for any other thing. My treasury, or a noble ring, or a steed from my own royal stable, or half my kingdom if you're able. I want for nothing else, I say." The sage replied that fateful day, "Just give to me the young queen bright, the Shamakan queen, my sole delight." The Tsar just spat. "Then no! Be gone! You'll get no thing. You're suffering on your own account, old fool. So leave. Be off while you are whole, believe. Drag off the old man from my sight." The sage wished to dispute his right, but arguing with kings is not a light and easy task. The Tsar, with all his might, struck him upon the forehead with his mace. The old man fell in that same place and died upon the spot. The whole capital with horror shook, but the young queen of all just laughed. Hee hee and ha ha ha! She cared for sin no single star. The Tsar, though greatly troubled deep, smiled sweetly, secrets he did keep. And now he drove into the town, when suddenly a sound came down, a gentle chime, and to the sight of all the capital, the bird took flight. The cockerel left the spire's height. It flew towards the chariot fast and keen, and landed on the king's own diadem. It shook its wings and pecked his crown, and flew away. And at that very time went down the Tsar Dadon from off his chariot low. He groaned once, and his spirit ceased to flow. The queen as quickly disappeared from view as if she'd never been. The tale is through.